All right, I got to talk about my experience yesterday at the Ohio State football game. It's Sunday morning. Yesterday, my brother and I, my dad and our uncle, my uncle who about 25 years ago invented the event catheter for sporting events and concerts and things like that. So you can put a catheter in and not have to worry about going to the bathroom during the show. It's just a tube that runs down like to the side of your foot, so you can just pee wherever you need to. But that's another story. Something happened at the Ohio State game yesterday, and we're going to talk about a term. We're going to talk about a term that's generally used with regard to internet platforms like social media platforms and things like that. And that term is enshittification. If something has been enshittified or has experienced enshittification, it's because there was a really good product that was working really well for the consumers who it's intended for. And then management comes in and monkeys with it and just makes it shitty in an attempt to, like, maximize shareholder profits and things like that. We're going to talk about that term today. My experience at this game yesterday reminded me a couple of years ago, my brother and I went and saw the Golden State Warriors in pro basketball team in San Francisco at the new Chase Center Arena over on the bay side of the city. The arena is amazing, incredible. The game was fantastic. But from start to finish, that game and everything about it was an absolute assault on our senses. And I'm going to eat during this video because Raven and I have a schedule to keep today. So if you've got that misophonia thing going on, you should probably scroll on. The volume level inside that arena from start to finish made the experience completely intolerable. Bone-rattling, low-end bass, constant. It never stopped. I mean, my brother and I were sitting right next to each other. We couldn't have a conversation with each other. We had to scream at each other. We're sitting right next to each other. It made the entire experience absolutely fucking miserable. And for the first time yesterday, that happened to me at an Ohio State football game. I grew up going to Ohio State football games. I've been going to Ohio State football games since I was a little kid. The game that we went to yesterday had been completely NFL'd. Like, it was like being at an NFL game with, again, I mean, I must have heard the first few bars of Seven Nation Army by White Stripes at least 50 times at full bone-rattling volume. 25 times we heard the first few bars of Thunderstruck by AC/DC. All kinds of rap and R&B, and it was just like the cacophony of deafening noise was paused only for actual football plays. The noise would stop right when the play started. As soon as the play was done, the noise fucking started again. At one point, I think during the third quarter, up on the screens, they showed people screaming. They told the people in the crowd to scream louder, and they had a decibel meter at the bottom of the screen, and it was at 108 decibels. They were like, let's make it even louder than it already was. We took it to a level where it was completely fucking intolerable for everybody here, even though the stadium was full of very corpulent Caucasian individuals, many of whom were intoxicated, and they all seemed to revel in the decibels getting up to 108 decibels. And it caused me to believe that there is an inverse relationship between the decibel number and their IQ. It's like the higher the decibel level went, the lower the crowd's IQ was represented, I believe. It made that football game an intolerable experience. All four of us were wearing earplugs. I've never worn earplugs in an Ohio State game in my entire life, ever. I've never had to because it's never been that kind of auditory sensory assault. It was just like, it was ear violence, okay? It was ear violence. It was, and it's like, even with the earplugs in, you're still just getting thumped with all this low end shit from start to finish. It just rattled your entire body. It's not a concert, okay? It's a fucking football game. We were there to watch a football game. There were two occasions in the third quarter where whoever the guy was who runs that part of the experience, I don't know, he had to go to the bathroom or something. And for 2 or 3 minutes, there was none of that. And we just got to watch and hear the actual football game. And that was fantastic. It was great. But then he came back from his bathroom break and flipped it back on again. It sucked almost every ounce of joy out of the experience of watching an Ohio State football game. It made the entire experience intolerable. And we left towards the end of the third quarter when it was, 35-3. I would have loved to have stayed for the whole game, but the auditory assault of being anywhere inside that stadium made that an impossible proposition. Why? Why do sports teams and people who run arenas and stadiums feel like, well, unless when the people leave, unless their ears are ringing for several days, or unless they've been made totally deaf, then it wasn't a good experience. So yesterday I witnessed the enshittification of Ohio State football, and that is the gradual decay of services over time as they become worse for users, consumers, in order to maximize profits, which I don't know how making people deaf maximizes profits, because these things start out as being good for users, good for the customers, good for spectators. The spectators show up, they buy a ticket, they go inside, they watch a football game, they enjoy the football game. And what do they hear? They hear the football game. And then it's like, we've got to make it better for our business customers and start racking up profits for the business customers. And I'm sure there's a theory that this kind of loud music gets people amped up and gets them excited. And, in fairness, I saw a lot of morbidly obese people get up and start dancing every single time we heard the first few bars of Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. They would get up and, every time. And then it just shifts all the way to what's best for the shareholders, because fuck the customers. Screw the spectators. Who gives a shit about the spectators? We don't care about their experience. But I'll tell you, if it had been quieter, we would have stayed for the rest of the game. I mean, people were leaving in droves when we left in the third quarter. Those people might have stayed and bought more concessions if it was tolerable to be anywhere inside that stadium. It wasn't, and so they left. So I got to see yesterday the full enshittification of Ohio State football, and that made me sad and angry and get off my lawn, and I'm now going to go outside and yell at a cloud.